Hello, my name is Jerod Evans, and this is my Johari window assignment for CST 126 Interpersonal Communications here at Nova through the Eli Extended Learning. Today, I'm going to be telling you about the Johari window and its impact on me and how I have even learned from it and learned more about myself and what I've learned from my family and others as my friends. And the Johari window is very complicated, as in it makes you think of different versions of you in a sense, because you have all these different types of windows, which is like known to self, known to others, unknown to self, unknown to others, and unknown to self but known to others. And they can be very, very confusing because you have to ask people like what they think about you in a sense, and then you think about it and you don't know where any of that stuff came from. But it makes you better in a way. So the first window I'd like to be talking about to you is the open window, which is known to self and known to others. My open window, I would say, is what people should know me off of within like the first 5 minutes they talk to me, or what all my friends and my family members should know me by now, after knowing me for so long. The open window is what is known to self and others. And first off, I would think that everybody, including me, knows that I have deep family values. Family comes first to me over everything. I'm a huge family guy, and even at work, everybody knows that if my family isn't taken care of, then I'm not the right guy in a sense, because I have a wife and a son, so they are my world, and that's who everything revolves around in my life. And I think other things that people know about me is I'm very outgoing, I love new adventures, and I'm very dependable, trustworthy, and caring. And what I mean is, say my brother calls me, he's got a flat tire, well, I'm gonna go help him, change the tire, replace it, put it back on his vehicle. I'm gonna make sure he's okay. And that goes back to my family roots. I just love being helpful, and I would hope that everybody truly knows this about me. I spoke with others, and this is what I got. So this is my open window. Secondly, I would like to begin talking about the blind window, which is unknown to self and known to others. For me, this involved a lot of communication between my family and my wife specifically, because they're the ones who spend the most time around me, and they're the ones who know things about me that I really don't. And what I learned is that I can get impatient at times. I do not listen very well. I have a short attention span, but I also get very defensive about my listening skills, which is probably not the best idea. And what goes along with that is I'd never want help with anything. And I think what my family means by this is I can want to do a lot of things by myself, and it could probably get really disturbing when I don't want any help or need anything from them. But it's just who I am. And speaking with my wife and taking an attention span test and the listening skills, I've come to know that, this stuff probably really is true about me, and I need work on it. It's hard for people to admit they need help on things that they don't think are true. But after taking tests and having a conversation with my wife about my listening skills and the defensiveness that I get on listening and not needing any help, I've learned from this side of my window that it would probably not be a bad idea to, listen more once in a while. Next, I'm going to begin speaking on the hidden window, which is known to self but unknown to others. And these are the secrets that we keep inside and don't really tell anybody, because these are technically our own personal values. We don't want to tell them because, that would kind of get rid of our sense of privacy. And everybody has to have privacy, everybody needs alone time. And for the Johari window, this is where you get it. These are our hidden values that we don't really tell anybody. And my hidden window goes back to things such as my ability to deal with rejection. I even took the self-esteem test just to prove, we are all dealt with bad news every day, and I believe that I can be dealt more bad news than others. And it's not to say that I had like a bad childhood or anything. It's just I feel like I can take bad news more well than others. I feel very confident in my abilities to deal with rejection. I don't think a lot of people know that about me, because not a lot of people tell me bad news for some sense. Example, when I was in basic training 2014, I never got the news that my great-grandmother was in bad shape, and I finally got the news that she was in bad shape about 3 days before she passed away. I was in a sense mad about it because my family didn't want to tell me her health, but at the same time I was able to deal with that news, I think, better than anybody else would have. Anybody else probably would have got extremely mad. I was still able to handle it very well. Another thing in this window that I think is probably a flaw in my sense is I trust people very quickly. I like to think this world is full of good people, full of people we should be able to trust, but in a sense we all know this isn't true all the time. And I think it can be a flaw on my end because you can't trust everybody out there. There are bad people. So that's a flaw on my end. Another thing is sometimes I like to judge off of first impressions, which is extremely a bad thing, and I know this is true, but I can't help it sometimes. We all meet people all the time, and sometimes I just like to think, oh well, they're like this because this is what I got from our first conversation, and that's not true. And that's a flaw on my end as well, because I shouldn't judge off of first impressions. And lastly, in this window, I would like to express my feel of being a provider for my family. This is probably the most important thing I think people don't understand about me, and this is why it's hidden, because if I can't provide for my family, then something's wrong. Something's wrong with me. I have to be able to provide. I have to make sure my family's well taken care of, because if my son doesn't have a bed to sleep on, food to eat, then I'm not doing it right. And I want to be that great father figure, the great husband to make sure his wife is okay every day. And so that is the greatest thing I think that's in my hidden window, is that I have to be a provider. And all these things that I've listed is things that people don't really know about me, and so that's my hidden window. Lastly, we're going to be speaking on the unknown window, which is unknown to self and unknown to others. This is the window that is basically future goals and things that you want to achieve. So nobody's really sure if these things are going to happen, but these are things we would like to happen. And I'm just going to go down my list of goals, basically of least importance to most importance. The first thing is, one day I'd like to run for public office. I think politics is a thing of interest. Helping people is something I would really love to do, especially back in my home community. I would love to help my people one day, so maybe one day I'll be running for public office. Secondly, I would like to invest in something, maybe a stock or something. I need to learn the market a little bit more, but I think stocks and the economy, things such as like natural gas, things that will better help our future, are things that need to be invested in. So I would like to invest in something like that one day. Next, I would say that I want my college degree, and I'm currently working on it. And I think college degrees are a starting point for a great career, and I think that college is a necessity. It's one of the main things we need today to be successful. So a college degree is definitely a must for me. Next, I would love to look back and say I had a great family life. And I think it's already being achieved, but family is the most important thing to me. So for me to one day look back and look at all the great memories my family and I have had, and look at all the things we did together, I would hope to say it was great, because it already is. So what's stopping us in the future. And last but not least, I just want to be loved all around. And I think that's a lot of people's goal, and it should be. Being loved by everybody you know is something we should all strive to be. I'm not saying, cater to everybody's needs, but we should strive to be a good person, a great person for the ones we love. There are other things I could mention, such as the temperament test that says, I've got this guardian profile. I think that goes back to, my provider sense and the great sense of family. I believe that, I should be looking over everybody in my family, and I don't think that's a bad trait. And also, I took the typology test, and it says, I've got ESTJ, which is I'm an extrovert. I use sensing, thinking, and judging more. That probably goes back to typical things in my window, such as the hidden window, where I said I judge off of first impressions. And I think the extrovert goes back to the open window, where I believe I'm very outgoing and I love new adventures. And these tests don't really define me, but I think the window does a good job of doing it, because you have to speak with your family and speak with people who know you. So in a way, it defines you and defines what people believe about you. So people shouldn't change who they are, but we should always strive to be the best person we can be. And I think this assignment for opening more things up about me that I didn't know, and I'm going to really take this window and use it for my future and use it for how I'm going to be. And I thank you for that. And that's my Johari window. Thank you.